Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Zane, and today we are going to be doing an ultimate stone cutting guide. I wanted to start out our life skill series with stone cutting because I think it'll be really important to be leveling before we get to 60. Once we hit 60, we want to be cranking out rune stones, Lazarus tuning orbs, and we also want to have high level gems for our armor and weapon slots, as well as beginning to craft high level jewelry. So today we're going to talk about the stone cutting UI, how to level stone cutting, sister professions that you have to keep in mind when leveling stone cutting. We're going to be talking about gems, although we won't get super into it because that'll be a whole nother video. We're going to be talking about corruption refining, keys and tuning orbs, and finally we're going to end with end game stone cutting and what that looks like. All right, when we go into the stone cutting table, we're going to have a search bar, we're going to have filters, we're going to have sort by X, just like you would have at any crafting station. After that, we're going to have cut stones, blocks. These are going to be important for leveling. We're going to have cut gemstones. These are going to be what you add into your armor and weapon slots. We're going to have fused gemstones, which you're going to be using in jewelry crafting. Refining material conversion, which you have in any crafting station. We're going to have keys, which you use in your tuning orbs. Material downgrades, which you have at any crafting station. Corrupted refinement. This is going to be important when we're crafting our tuning orbs. And then all tuning orbs down here. All right, so when we talk about having to level, I'm going to talk about early, which will be level 0 to 50. I will talk about mid, which will be level 50 to 100. I will talk about mid late, which will be 100 to 150. And I will talk about late, which will be 150 to 200. So when I'm talking about early game, what you're going to be wanting to grind out are these stone blocks. It's super easy to get stone from boulders. You're going to be leveling your mining at the same exact time, which is going to be a sister profession. This is going to be the primary way to get from 0 to 50 when you are starting out stone cutting. After that, you're going to be going to stone brick, which will use stone blocks. So make sure to keep hold of those stone blocks. And then also something to keep in mind is you're going to be unlocking tier 3 gem refinement. So you're going to be doing stone bricks and tier 3 gem refinement, which will give you the most XP to get you to 100. When you hit 100, you're going to unlock lodestone bricks, which you're also going to be using the stone brick for. And then you'll also be unlocking tier 4 gems. So 100 to 150, you'll be doing lodestone brick and tier 4 gems. Late, which will be 150 to 200, you will unlock obsidian voidstone and tier 5 gems. So you'll be finding tier 5 gems. You'll be crafting obsidian lodestone, and I believe that this will be the meta leveling for stone cutting. Something additional to keep in mind while you are leveling is that you are going to be making keys, tuning orbs, and corrupted refinement. I'm not sure if this is currently bugged, but you can see with a tier 2 corrupted fragment, it's only 45 stone cutting, and it actually gets worse as you move up in tiers. This is going to be 36, finally ending with corrupted lodestone, which is only going to be 18 stone cutting. So when you're talking about keys, tuning orbs, and corrupted refinement, these are not going to be the ideal ways to level. These are going to be additions along the way. They're going to be really important for actual gameplay, but not when you're grinding out levels in stone cutting. While leveling our stone cutting, we're going to have to keep 3 major sister professions in mind. The first one being mining, which will need at least level 54 in order to get elemental motes from elemental ores. Something else to keep in mind is the higher level mining we have, the more likelihood we'll get rare gem drops, which will be really helpful in our gem refinement section, which we'll go into next. The other gathering profession we're going to need to have is harvesting, which will need at least level 34 in order to get elemental motes from elemental animals and elemental plants. Lastly will be your arcane, which will be used for moat refinement. You'll be starting out with those moats that you received from elemental harvesting and mining. You'll refine those to wisps, which will be your tier 3 at level 25 arcane. Then essence at tier 4, which will be level 75 arcane. And lastly, quintessence, which will be your tier 5 at level 125. The quintessence will be an endgame ingredient for your endgame keys and tuning orbs, and we'll go over that at the endgame section. All right, so let's talk about gems in the context of stone cutting. We won't be talking about what each gem does. That's a whole nother video. We'll talk about it a little bit in our jewelry crafting, but not here. In the stone cutting menu, we have cut gemstones and we have fused gemstones. Fused gemstones will be used in jewelry crafting, and cut gemstones will be used in armor and in weapon slots. Additionally, we want to be hitting certain marks as we get our skill up and as we level. You'll see here that we have tier 3 at 50, and then we're going to have tier 4 at 100, and then tier 5 at 150. So as we're getting tier 5 gear in game, we want to also be hitting tier 5 in stone cutting, just so that we are leveling up at the same time. So really briefly, we're going to be talking about these corrupted stones because they are very important when we talk about tuning orbs. You're going to be getting these different corrupted stones from major breach chests, which will be after you complete major breaches in the open world. It'll be the same thing as a lot of crafting in New World, where everything will be compounding. So you use 5 corrupted slivers to make a corrupted fragment, 4 corrupted fragments to make a corrupted shard, 3 corrupted shards to make a corrupted crystal, and then 2 corrupted crystals to make a corrupted lodestone. Everything is going to be compounding, and these are going to be really, really important when we go into crafting tuning orbs. So finally, we're going to be talking about tuning orbs, keys, and this will kind of conclude us with our end game stone cutting. The most important thing when we're talking about end game stone cutting, level 200 stone cutting, are these rune stones. These rune stones are going to be used in our Lazarus tuning orb and also our Genesis tuning orb. Our Lazarus tuning orb, if you don't know, a tuning orb is essentially a key to get into an expedition, which in New World is a dungeon. And our end game dungeon is going to be Lazarus Instrumentality. This is going to be the dungeon that we're going to grind out in order to get our highest level gear before we can craft it ourselves. So we're essentially going to look at the Lazarus tuning orb as a representative of all of the other tuning orbs. They're all different, need different ingredients, but when you really look at them, are all kind of the same. We already talked about our corrupted lodestone, right? That's going to be our corruption stone refining. Chisels are going to be bought with faction tokens by completing faction quests at our faction representative. These are semi-easy to get. Rune stones, we already talked about. These are going to be our level 200 ingredient that we need to craft in order to make this tuning orb. And then, most importantly, I'm going to talk about the Lazarus core. I'm going to emphasize this because this is going to also go in with our sister professions. This is why it's so important in New World to be leveling up everything at the same time. So when we look at our Lazarus core, let's look at our Undying Heart. So our Undying Heart, we're going to need this death quintessence, life quintessence, and soul quintessence. These are going to be crafted at our arcane repository, and they're going to start with motes and then go to essence and then quintessence. So these are going to be continually leveled up. You're going to need a high level arcane in order to craft these. And then you're going to need the Undying Heart in order to make the Lazarus core, as well as some other things that are found locally in the zone where the dungeon is, and then you're going to be able to use it in this Lazarus tuning orb. So that's kind of the conclusion of this stone cutting guide. We're going to end with the Lazarus tuning orb. This is going to be the most important thing. These rune stones are why it's so important to get to level 200 stone cutting. If you're not there when you get to level 60, you're going to be really shooting yourself in the foot. We're going to want to grind out this dungeon. We're going to want to get our best possible gear, and this is how to get it. Alright guys, so that's our ultimate stone cutting guide video. If you liked it, make sure to stay tuned for our other life skill videos. We're going to be making a ton of them. Make sure to like the video. It helps a lot for smaller creators. Subscribe to the channel. Additionally, that helps a lot. And hit the notification bell to make sure that you get notified when we upload new videos. I stream on twitch.tv every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just got approved for the New World Content Creator Program, so we're going to be making a ton of videos. Make sure to stay tuned, guys. It's going to be really, really fun. I cannot wait to play with you all on September 28th. GG's.